Hey everyone, welcome back to the Knox Hollow Wood Shop. And today we're going to be joining this piece of wenge with this piece of royal ebony. But before we get into anything terribly exciting on the wand video, I do want to just mention that we've got some new things going on the channel. You can now join as a supporter and become a member, and there's different levels there, so you can check those out. But yeah, if you want to continue seeing the videos and we'll get better equipment and stuff, then I would really appreciate if you join the membership channel, and you'll get some special perks as well. You can kind of check those out. So, anyways, first thing we're gonna do here is the whinge is gonna be the blade of this wand, and we're gonna treat this. The first thing is to get the blade kind of worked down to about the right size as usual, and once that's done, we'll get this cut off and put into the jaws, and that way we can work the blade. But while I still have the spur drive on, I also want to go ahead and prep the handle. This is going to be the Royal Ebony, and first thing I do is I get it round, and I want to join this with a mortise and tenon. And I think I want to work this wand after it's joined. So the trick is going to be to keep it really centered. So I'm using my steady rest here, and the now that I've got this round and I've got a steady rest on there, I know it's dead center. I'm going to drill a small pilot hole down into the ebony, and then I'm going to go ahead and make the mortise on here. And this is a little bit larger bit. I'm trying to think. It's probably a 3/8. I think it's about a 3/8 bit. And the idea is that I'm gonna put a tenon that's about 3/4 of an inch or so long, because I want a nice good joint on that to support the wood, because I am going to turn this after it's glued. So now that I've got the handle drilled out for the tenon, so we've got the mortise done. I'm gonna go back to the blade, the shaft of the wand here, and we're gonna continue working that down, so that we can get as much of that up into the jaws as possible. Because I also want this to be just as exact as possible, to make sure that when I get these two pieces glued up, they're perfectly straight, and that way there's no wobble when I'm working it on the lathe. So, I actually spent a lot of extra time. Again, you can see I'm using the steady rest to hold it in position and make sure everything's dead centered. And we'll go ahead and put the tenon on this guy. And the trick is I want to work this down to where it slides onto the handle and it's a snug fit, but not too snug. So I'll be checking to make sure that I'm not going too far with that. And I just do part of it until I get it really close. I'll bring the rest of the tenon down on the length down to the right size. As you can see, it's just a little bit snug there, so I can sand this a little at a time until I get a nice fit. So that seems to be working well. The one thing that I found that is really important to do on this is when you put glue on there, it seals it up. So you have to have somewhere for then the air and the extra glue to go. So you saw me with a Dremel there, and I just kind of put like a spiraled groove around that, and that gives the glue and the air a place to escape out back towards the top, and you'll see it kind of squish out there. I've actually had these. If you don't do that, it can split the wood when you clamp those together. There's so much pressure. So once those are glued up, I let them dry overnight. As you can see, that is pretty darn center. So it was really worth all the extra time I took to get those two mated up perfectly. And then from here, we just kind of treat this pretty much as a one piece wand. Also, just a quick mention there, even if you can't join the membership, a quick thumbs up on the video really does help us out a lot, and we really do appreciate it. Thanks, guys. But yeah, so the ebony, it's again, this is royal ebony, so it's a little bit more on the brown side. It's not the Gaboon ebony, which is like usually what you think of when you ebony. You think of that really dark black wood. But we're gonna play with this and get it darker. The reason and the whinge is also really dark, but the reason I wanted to use that is because the whinge has got, 2 different grains in it, and, we'll see, we can do some color changing with that. So, the first thing to do is just kinda go ahead and get this shaped up, and again, I'm kinda being aware of that tenon going, inside the handle there, so I don't wanna get too thin, right there where the tenon's at. That's something I'm always thinking of. So we'll get the shape of this pretty well done, and I'm doing a really kind of a basic shape on the grip itself because we're also going to do some fancy work with some twisted wire as well. So we'll get this partly sanded up, and then once I've got obviously I edited out a ton of sanding on these. Once I have that done, then we're going to go ahead and put a wire burn with friction burn with a wire on the just to separate some of the sections out, and you'll see why we do that. Also, on that glue, I should mention on that glue joint, you can see doing the wire burn on a glue joint. We know that I had that perfectly set on the joint because it's a little bit harder to do a wire burn right there on the glue. It doesn't burn as well. So the first step on this to get this ebony nice and dark is I am using the torch to kind of lightly char the outside. Now it's not really burnt, but it's right on the edge of it. I'm not a huge fan of this just because the one of the great things about ebony is because such a hardwood, it polishes up and it's very dense. But when you use the torch, it can affect there is different hardnesses of grain in that ebony, and it does kind of the heat will more quickly burn out the softer grains. So it does leave a little bit of texture, but it's not much. But in addition to the burning, I'm also using the ebonizing solution, as I've tried the ebonizing solution just by itself, and it just doesn't darken it up to a complete black that I like. So by doing the burning first, that gets it pretty close. But in order to make that nice after burning, I have to sand it down and stuff like that. And so does leave it a little bit uneven. So between that and the ebonizing solution, I got this actually really nice and dark and pretty even. So at this point, now what we're doing is I just use the indexing wheel to basically make a grid on the handle, and I'm using the wood burner the pyrography tool to basically put the spiral grooves in this, and this is where the wire is going to sit. So the ebony is, again, being a really dense wood, it's a little bit difficult to get a nice deep groove in here, and so that took quite a while. But I did go with 5 different spirals on here, so there was quite a bit of wood burning on this. A lot of times I'll only do 4 when I'm going to do this because the wire work is rather tedious as well. So also, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell icon so you'll get notified of new videos when they get posted. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get this pommel paired off of the tenon here so we can continue on, and then we'll do the cleanup on that sanding, and then what the part that's cut off obviously is the fresh wood. So I'll have to kind of touch that up with some heat and ebonizing fluid as well. Same process as earlier. So and then one thing you can do at that ebonizing fluid, when you're reapplying it like this, if you've already got it sanded and everything, and it's a reapply, a lot of times you can get away with just a good burnishing. That's what this is with this some scrap denim, and that way you don't have to sand off the color. But yeah, so that polished up pretty nice with the burnish. And what I'm doing here is each one of these grooves, I need to drill a small hole for the wire to go down into, because we're going to wrap it in the groove, but the end of the wire's got to go somewhere to make sure that it's really well affixed and stuff. So we'll use a little drop of CA glue there. And CA glue can be really tough to work with. And of course, naturally, I've got the really thin and runny stuff to so that it stays down in the cracks. But it means it'll run everywhere if you're not careful. So, but yeah, so this is just a twisted brass wire. It's just two pieces of wire, and yeah, I just used a power drill, and twisted. I got a nice even twist all the way down, and then cleaned that up. And we put one end in the hole with a drop of glue. We're using the spray to set the glue, and some of the holes were not quite deep enough on this, so I had to come in with the dribble and just kind of clean up the holes. And also because that glue sometimes runs down to get down into some of the other holes, so you have to kind of clean those up. And then we just kind of clip that end off and kind of bend an L shape on it so that it fits down into the hole, and then another drop of glue in there, and that's going to set that. And these grooves, when you put that with that CA glue, when you put that down and you drop it onto the wire, it just spreads right along that wire down in that groove, and that really helps out. So, but having a Dremel to clean up, any of the grooves that kind of got filled in with, excess CA glue or something is good. I need to get a slightly thicker CA glue so it doesn't run quite so bad. But yeah, after that's done, then we're just going to kind of clean this up with some polishing sandpapers. I think I started with around a 500 grit, and it's you have to kind of clean off the extra CA glue first, and then I'm using some really fine grit steel wool, and that's going to kind of polish up that brass and get a bunch of sanding. Um, but once that's done, now this is where I've gone in. I did go ahead and put the taper on the blade of this, and then just kind of put it up in like a temporary holder on the chucks to kind of so I could get access to this blade. And this is just bleach. And if you've seen some of my other videos about color changing, you see when I bleach that whinge, some of the grain really, really lightens up, very bright. So I was kind of hoping to get that kind of stripy effect in this. And of course, you have to really keep it saturated. And I let that dry overnight, and then sand and polish it up, and that worked really well. It looks great at this point. However, I did want to do just the oil and wax finish on this, and the oil does darken up the line work quite, or the grain quite a bit, and I was kind of surprised. It's a little darker than I wanted. Overall, the one turned out really well, but yeah, I was really happy with the wire. Worked really well. There was quite a bit of it, but as you can see, once the oil finish gets on here, the handle, the grip, pommel, and guard area all has that really nice dark ebony, and then the blade of the wand has got the light and dark. It's got the black with the kind of a medium brown running through it. I would have liked that medium brown to be a little bit whiter, but honestly, I don't know. It really kind of complements as far as the colors go. So, but these are the final photos of how this worked out. Hope you enjoyed this. We're going to be doing some more videos hopefully in the future, and we hope that you had a chance to, also, give me a thumbs up on the video, subscribe. We always appreciate the support, and don't forget to join. We'll be doing more videos soon. I've got a kind of a Slytherin themed colored wand coming up pretty soon, in the next week or so that I have to work on. So anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.